Jeremiah, Yirmiyahu, chapter 44. This word came to Yirmiyahu concerning all the people from Yehuda living in the land of Egypt, in Migdal, Tachpanches, Noph, and the land of Patros. Here's what Adonai Sabaoth, the God of Israel, says. You have seen all the disaster I inflicted on Yerushalayim and all the cities of Yehuda. There they are today, ruined with no one living in them. It came about because of the wicked things they did to make me angry, sacrificing to and serving other gods, whom they did not know, neither they, nor you, nor your ancestors. I had sent you all my servants, the prophets, sent them frequently from the message. Don't do this horrible thing, which I hate. But they neither listened nor obeyed, so as to turn from their wickedness and stop offering to other gods. Hence my fury and anger were poured out and ignited in the cities of Yehuda and the streets of Yerushalayim, so that they became waste and desolate as they are today. Therefore now, Adonai Sabaoth, the God of Israel, says this, Why are you committing this great sin against yourselves? The result can only be to cut you off from Yehuda, men, women, children, and babies, so that none of you remain. For you continue provoking me with the products of your own hands, offering to other gods in the land of Egypt, where you've gone to live as aliens. It will lead only to your destruction and becoming an object of curses and reproaches among all the nations of the earth. Have you forgotten the wicked deeds of your ancestors, the wicked deeds of the kings of Yehuda, and the wicked deeds of their wives, your own wicked deeds, and the wicked deeds of your wives, which they committed in the land of Yehuda and in the streets of Yerushalayim? To this day they remain unhumbled. They have not been afraid, and they have not lived according to my Torah or my regulations that I presented to you and your ancestors. Therefore, here's what Adonai Sabaoth, the God of Israel, says. I will decree disaster for you and destroy all of Yehuda. I will take the remnant of Yehuda, who determined to go to Egypt, and live there as aliens, and they will all perish. In the land of Egypt they will fall and perish by sword and famine. They will die from the least to the greatest, by sword and famine, and they will become an object of condemnation, astonishment, cursing, and reproach. Yes, I will punish those living in the land of Egypt, as I punished Yerushalayim, by sword, famine, and plague, so that none of the remnant of Yehuda, who went into the land of Egypt to live as aliens, will escape or remain, to be able to return to the land of Yehuda. They long to return and live there, but none will return except a few refugees. Then all the men who knew that their wives were offering incense to other gods, along with all the women standing by, a huge crowd, all the people living in Patros and the land of Egypt, answered Yirmiyahu, As for the word you have just spoken to us in the name of Adonai, we will not listen to you. Instead, we will certainly continue to fulfill every word our mouths have spoken. We will offer incense to the Queen of Heaven and pour out drink offerings to her, or, as we have done, we and our ancestors, our kings and our leaders in the cities of Yehuda and the streets of Yerushalayim. For then we had plenty of food, everything was fine, we didn't experience anything unpleasant. But since we stopped offering to the Queen of Heaven and pouring out drink offerings to her, we have lacked everything, and we have been destroyed by sword and famine. Then the wives added, Are we the ones who offer incense to the Queen of Heaven? Do we pour out drink offerings to her? And did we make cakes marked with her image for her and pour out drink offerings to her without our husband's consent? Then Yirmiyahu said to all the people, to the men, the women, and all the people who had answered him back, The incense you offered in the cities of Yehuda and in the streets of Yerushalayim, you, your ancestors, your kings, your leaders, and the people of the land, Adonai kept remembering and taking note of this insult, until Adonai could no longer bear it. So evil and so detestable were your deeds. This is why your land has become a wasteland, an object for astonishment and cursing, uninhabited as it is today. It is because you offered incense, sinned against Adonai, didn't listen to what Adonai said, and didn't live by his Torah, regulations, and instructions that this disaster has fallen on you, as it is today. In addition, Yirmiyahu said to all the people, but especially the women, Hear the word of Adonai, all Yehuda who are in the land of Egypt. This is what Adonai Sabaoth, the God of Israel, says. You and your wives stated your intentions with your mouths and performed them with your hands. You said, We will certainly fulfill our vows that we made to offer incense to the Queen of Heaven and pour out drink offerings to her. Without doubt, you will indeed fulfill every point of your vows. Therefore, hear the word of Adonai, all Yehuda living in the land of Egypt. I swear by my own great name, says Adonai, that no man of Yehuda will speak my name again, in the land of Egypt, swearing, as Adonai God lives, I am watching over them for harm, not for good. All the men of Yehuda and the land of Egypt will be destroyed by sword and famine until none of them is left. Those who escape the sword will return from the land of Egypt and the land of Yehuda, few in number. And all the remnant of Yehuda who went into the land of Egypt to live will know whose word will stand, mine or theirs. Moreover, here's a sign for you, says Adonai, that I will punish you in this place, so that you can know that my threats of disaster against you will come true. Adonai says, I will hand over Pharaoh Hophra, king of Egypt, to his enemies, to those seeking his life, just as I handed Zedekiah, king of Yehuda, over to Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babel, his enemy, who sought his life.